Production support for Hot and Cold is brought to you by American Solar Technics, manufacturers of components for wood burning and solar heating systems. Hey, I'm Tom Goese. This week on Hot and Cold, we're doing some stairs. We're doing major structural things in this old house. Stay with us. We'll be right back. So here we are in our project house. We did the stairs. We're working on floors too. We get a chance to look at those, otherwise that'll be another week. But you may remember the stairs started right about here and went up. And look what we've done. We've extended them out, for almost 5 feet. And we did a couple of things that were really important with stairs. And the first one is the original stairs that were here had a 9-inch rise and an 8-inch tread, which is opposite of what it should be. What we want to have, if this was a perfect world, and it isn't here, we want to have about a 10 or 11-inch tread, this flat part, and a 7-inch rise. What we wound up with on this particular stairs is 7 3/4 on the rise and 9 1/2 on the run. And we can play with those numbers a little bit. They need to add up to around 17 inches. So we're in the ballpark, and I tell you, just marching up and down these stairs, as soon as I got the stairs done, and I went up and went down a few times, I said, this is what we want. And what we want comfort. We want to not feel really worked having to go up and down stairs. We have to do the work of lifting our bodies and anything else we're lugging with ourselves upstairs. So this particular rise and run, 7, 11, or in that ballpark, is comfortable for human beings to go up and down. So that's what we did. We made the stairs, and we got that. I did a couple of things a little bit different, although I think more and more people are doing it this way. These are what I call working treads. This is 3/4-inch Advantech decking. It's very stable stuff. I also put a working riser in also, because this is going to stay this way till wintertime when I want to have a nice indoor project. We'll put oak treads on here and pine risers, the finish treads, if you will. This will stay in place. This is the new treads and risers will be glued and screwed or nailed to the working treads and risers. But these are perfectly functional. They're very rugged materials, and it allowed me to do demolition and do rebuilding very quickly in a house where somebody's living and not disrupt the household too much. Obviously there's a lot of disruption because plaster's flying, stairs are going out the window, and we have to deal with that stuff. But this gave me the luxury of getting it done very quickly, whereas when I go to put oak treads and pine risers on, I got to take time, I got to fit it really nice, everything's got to look good, we got to try to minimize cracks. Here it's quick and dirty and it's done. Some of the tools of the trade: big recip saw blades. You got to cut a lot of stuff, and that's 12-inch blade. That's good for this kind of project. A couple of things we had to deal with here in getting ready to do the job. It was the original stairs were only about 28 inches wide, so we've extended them out to 36 inches to get a little bit more width in here, so it would be easier to get stuff up and down the stairs. And that meant that we had a wall that was right here that we had to play with. We had to pull the wall out a little bit, and there was a little bit of sort of like a closet that was here at one time. I've had the worst luck with tape measures lately. They just keep dying on me, but there we go. There's a little bit of a closet here. We had to take that out. There's ceiling beams that go this way that span the house. They span about 15 feet. They're 3x8s. They're probably roughly 32 inches on center. So we caught one here. We had temporary supports here. We had a temporary support here underneath another one. And we've since have rebuilt the wall to pick up those beams and support the second floor. So that had to come out a bit, and we had to cut the beams and make everything fit. We've got 2x12 stringers here, which we'll maybe look at from underneath the stairs in a minute. And we've got 3 of them. We got one on either side and one right down the center. And the really critical thing that you do when you build stairs, you can't go cheap on it. Excuse me. You got to screw it together and you got to glue it together, whether it's liquid nails or PL 400 or whatever you use. You have to have some kind of construction adhesive to stick everything together, because whether it's a floor or it's a stair, we don't want squeaks. And one of the things that thrilled me, even before I put it together, the adhesive was wet. And if I don't fall down, if I march up and down the stairs, there's absolutely no noise other than my big feet clumping on the steps. And that's what we want. We don't want creaks on stairs or floors. The adhesive is something that, of course, they didn't have 100 years ago. We've only started using it for, I don't know, the past 20 or 30 years. And it really makes a difference. It's only a buck a tube, and, you know, use a there's more than a buck tubes, 2-3 bucks a tube. But use a half dozen tubes or something on a project like this, and you got to do it. You just, please, if you do a project like this, use it. Liquid nails is kind of nice because it's not quite as solventy. All of them now have a lot less solvent in it. This one is fairly easy to work with, in the sense that when I get it on my hands, it comes off a lot easier while it's still wet before it dries. So that was a good thing. Of course, we put this all together with the Torx head screws. Of course, I have none right at my fingertips. And then we used just straight ahead deck screws to screw the Advantech riser and treads down. So it's very structural. A couple of issues we had that we hit here. One, there was an electric outlet right here, which was not a big deal to lose because it was actually notched into the baseboard. So it had to go anyway, and it was in the way. It came right out. So we'll put a new outlet over here so we have one in the vicinity where it should be. The other issue was we had a window right here. We've intersected with the window a little bit with this tread, and I think what we want to do anyhow is sometime next spring maybe take this window out, slide it over to here, and make it slightly bigger. This is the south side of the house. South side of the house, it'd be nice to have a little bit bigger window than that thing, which is pretty dinky. So we'll try to find a size that would fit the symmetry of the house. Additionally, this house has vinyl on it, and somebody used a barbecue grill right around here and melted some of the vinyl, so it's kind of ripply. So it's a good reason to go ahead and redo this area. What else do we have? We've got other things upstairs I guess we should take a look at. And we better take a break because we got some bills to pay. We'll go upstairs. These stairs, I just love them. They are so quiet. It's peaceful. It actually, I find it relaxing. Hey, we're back. And there was a couple of tricks to these stairs that kind of made them a little different than regular stairs. If they were regular stairs just straight up, it would be really easy to deal with. But it came up here and it turns 90 degrees. So you come up the steps and it goes up this way, and I come up to the second floor. So I knew when you figure out stairs, you measure from the height, the top of the floor on the second floor, down to the top of the floor on the first floor. And then you try to make the numbers fit, and you try to get to that magic number 7, which we got close to. But after I did that, I then had to try to do cogitating on triangular steps, and I was assuming there were 3 triangular steps, and then this step was recessed over here, and that kind of complicated life a little bit. So what I did to cheat and to double check myself, because I don't do this every day, as you can see here, numerous risers and treads drawn on the walls. And you can see it's gone this way and this way, trying to fit. We want to have enough room at the base to get onto the stairs without feeling claustrophobic, and also have enough here. And we had some limitations. This width here is not as wide as this width here. This is only about 28 inches, where this is 36. So we have to make this safe. and we have to make it usable and not, when you're going up the stairs, we don't want people to stumble. So several things that we think about when we design stairs. All these dimensions for the straight stairs, just straight up vertical stairs, can't vary from the biggest step to the smallest step, whether it's a riser or a tread. We can't have more than 3/8 of an inch variance because we humans are somewhat clumsy at times, and if it changes very much, there's going to be an issue. Somebody could trip and get hurt. So 3/8 of an inch, we got that here. Then we get over to here and we make a right turn, and that the rise is going to be certainly the same, but the run is different because now we have triangles. And I thought originally we were going to have 3 triangles. As it turned out, we only needed 2 because this recess step bought me the extra step I needed. So I actually built 3 steps, and I'll show you. I got the third one hidden away over here. And I had actually put it together and glued it to the floor and glued the tread on top, the riser on the tread, excuse me, on top of it. When I realized that that wasn't working right. So I took it out, and because what happened, this little mini step here was right up flush with the floor. So I put this down, which is sort of the way it was before. Now, and this works very well. We've got a lot of room to play with here, and the steps are bigger, the treads are bigger. So it's easier on the triangular steps to maneuver around. Plus, you're a little bit lower here, and headroom is an issue here because this is a Cape Cod style house. The only problem we have, and you know this if you have an old house, there ain't nothing level, ain't nothing plumb, and this is no exception. So the last step here should be 7 3/4 inches. Well, we've got the finished height here, so we're going to have an extra inch of our finished tread, so that would be, without that finished tread here, this would be 8 3/4, which is what it is over here. Over here, it's about 2 inches higher. So, and this is level, and this is not anywhere near level. So I think what we're going to do is unhook the floor here where it comes into this wall and go over a ways and kind of angle it up to being out of level. So where you are at the stairs, you get up onto something level before you start to deal with the irregularity of an old house. Excuse me. And that will solve that problem. So needless to say, where we are right now at this point in time with nothing else done, the stairs are a lot easier to walk on. They're a lot easier to get up and down, and they're a lot safer than they were. The other thing that we had that's related to stairs was railing. Well, not railings, but sort of a railing here. We have a little, we had a little rail that was built here that was built out of 1x lumber. And that was extremely unsafe. It was flat 1x screwed into a faceboard here, and if you looked at it and thought about it hard, you could just push it right over. It was screwed in with sheetrock screws, but it's still, when it came time to take it apart, it was amazing how quickly it fell apart. So what I've done is, when we put this wall in, we used 12-foot lumber to make a wall here. So now this is tied to the floor structure and the first floor, and it's all screwed together. So I can really push on this and not move it at all hardly. And when we're done taping, I'm building a wall across here because this is an open end right here. And then this will buttress this edge here and stiffen it up even more. One other thing that I'll point out as I step down the stairs for some wonderful television effect is right here, the elevation between the ceiling and the stairs. In other words, if we went straight down here from this ceiling right here to that step, it should be about 6 foot 8 inches, and it's not, but it's better than it was. So we were able to get away with that, and you can see here now, if I had an extra step here, I would be, I'm just skirting this. I've got to exercise some poor posture to get up here, but again, it's better than it was because before we were actually pulling up a little bit sooner, and we've moved in, we widened this out, and widening this way, we bought ourselves a little more headroom up here. So, you know, it's not perfect. It never is perfect when you're working with an old house like this. There's always going to be this kind of issue that you have to try to fit get the best functional fit for the situation. And this is about as good as it's going to get, and it's a lot better than it was, and it will be pretty darn nice when it's finished. Excuse me. We have another project that we took on that's down in the basement that is just too much to believe. And I guess we have enough time left that we should go down there. This is a major structural project for this old house. And when we come back, we're going to set up in the basement. You're going to look at all kinds of messy stuff down there too. So we're going to take a break. Is it time? Sure it is. Yeah, we'll be right back. Welcome to my nightmare. We're down in the basement, which is my favorite room in the house because we had some major issues with the floors. And I'm slowly rebuilding them. And what I've done is, remember we had the trees, the big tree trunks? They're over there now. There's two of them sitting right there. See them? Nice shot. Those are gone. They were all in this area right here, and they were supporting the floor because there wasn't much supporting the floor because a lot of the floor was stuff like this, old post and beam that's all rotted, so it had to go bye-bye. And I mean, you know, this is just shot. Oh man, what a mess. So the plan is, and has been to put 3 2x8s across from side to side. And you can see up here we've got one set of them. There's 3 2x8s up there. They span the building from one side to the other. We've used all pressure treated here. We put a post right in dead center to pick up the load. We could probably span without the post, but the post makes sense because it's not a big deal. When we're done, we'll have maybe 2 posts down here, which would be far better than what it's been. And then off the carrying beam, we've got mostly new 2x6s that are spanning 8 feet. In this case, they're going to the front of the house. Some of them we've left. This one here is a double 2x6. We've left it because the electrical panel is currently hung off of it. But many of the other ones have gone bye-bye because they were rotted or pieces. A lot of them were solid, but there had been pieces sistered onto them because the rotted ends were cut off. So I've replaced a lot of them already. We've used the anodized Torx head screws because they're compatible with the pressure-treated lumber. What I'm going to do now is go back 8 feet that way, and we'll do another carrying beam across the room and put some more floor joists in here. And the floor is just kind of, right, you know, houses tend to be overbuilt. This house isn't overbuilt to meet code. I mean, it doesn't meet code with the way the floors are. But generally speaking, houses, even this house being underbuilt, it's not going to fall down. What happens is the floors get real springy and spongy. And that's what we have here. So, and what we had originally was floor joists that were every 32 inches. They should be 16 inches or maybe 24, maybe you get away with 24. I'm not sure, I haven't looked it up, but certainly 16 inches is fine. Can't be 32. So we've put the right number of floor joists in. We've got proper support for them, and we'll go that way. We'll do another run, so we'll be back about 16 feet from the front of the house. And the back area, which is underneath the kitchen, is pretty solid. So I don't think we're going to have to do any doctoring back there. It's up on this end. Maybe it was because it's wetter up here. There was more rot over the years, and there's been pieces been replaced. But we're getting all this big, massive stuff like over here. We still have another one of these posts. And if you see up there, you see all the rot right along the ceiling. That's one of the next areas we'll be dealing with. We'll be taking that down. So that won't be needing that post. And at that point, and here we've got a small jacked up piece here. That's going to come out. There's a post over there will come out. So we'll have one post where this double 2x6 is, where I'm shining the light right now, right by the light there. And that'll be it for the rest of the basement. We'll be able to probably work with everything else that's here because it's pretty solid. So it takes a while because you've got to cut through everything and you've got to support everything so you don't have things drop down too far. And obviously I don't want to have something fall down and hit me in the head. I've found that is an unpleasurable experience. But we're gaining on it. The other issue, though, that makes this a little more complex is all these things up here, all these wires. We have to unfurl all this wiring, and in this case a little bit of plumbing, to be able to get the old stuff down and get the new wood in place. And it's still a little bit tight. I think after I get done with the floors, I'm seriously entertaining the notion of putting a new service entrance in, because the wiring is kind of, people tried to take the path of least resistance, which was the shortest run of wire. Instead of using maybe 4 extra feet of wire and make it run nice and neat, they went diagonally and yanked, and it's just kind of scary. In a lot of places the grounds aren't hooked up, so it really needs to be gone over. And most importantly for me is this panel being here is right sort of in the way of everything. I'd like to have it a little bit further away from the water main, maybe over against the wall there. So it kind of makes sense to maybe move it. I'm really thinking long and hard about that, and I don't think it's going to take too much convincing for me to do that. And then of course where all the wiring is already unhooked, it'd be easy enough to put new wiring in, because we've undone things for doing the stairs and we're undoing things for the rest of this. So that's where we're at right now. We're into the inside project because the weather is getting kind of funky outside, and this is kind of a fun inside project. I'm out of the rain, although the rain comes through the walls here and keeps it wet down here, but we knew it was wet. It's still, at least it's warmer than it would be outdoors, and short of having to stoop over to do this kind of work, it's not horrible. But we still have some more projects to do. We'll come back and look at this again in a week or two and show you what the rest of the floor looks like and what surprises we may come into. The biggest problem I have is, what do I do with all this old wood? Do I bring it home and cut it up for firewood, where it's all rotten and funky, and put it in the wood stove, or do I take it right to the dump and get rid of it? So that's Tom's dilemma for the time being. How are we doing on time? We still have time left? Well, then we can look around a little more, because there's a few more things I can point out. I thought we were out of time. Jeepers. Over the years, up here, the front sill has been replaced, and a lot of the cobbling that took place here left a lot of holes. And you can see I've gone around with canned foam to try to start to fill some of these holes. The perfect solution for down here would be to spray foam the whole thing. I'm not sure we're going to get to that this year, but I still have to make this basement as weatherproof as possible. So what I'm doing is I bob and weave, is just go around and try to find holes. It's cold enough outside now that it's easy to go with your hand and feel for cold air coming in. If it's daytime, many times you can see the light coming through the cracks. Once I open a can of foam, I like to use it all up, so I've gone around and just filled some of the holes in between the rock here where water's coming in. It isn't going to stop the water, but at least if there's critters living in there, they're going to be less likely to be here with me in the basement, which I would prefer. But the ultimate solution for this kind of application is to do this where we have a spray foam application, and that's my goal. And I say, we may not get to it this year, and that is wet too. But we are going to get it sprayed, and that'll give us the luxury then of having this be dry. Spray foam will keep most of this water out of here, and then in springtime we're going to actually put some drainage around the outside to mitigate a lot of it, because we're dealing with stuff like this right here. That wasn't there when I started last week, and I don't want to go swimming down here. Yeah, it's nice stuff. Anyway, if you have any questions, give us a call. Old basements are great fun here in Maine, and this is just a typical old Maine basement, and we're going to make hopefully something out of it. We got to go. We're out of time. If you have any questions, give us a call on the radio. We'll see you next week. Production support for Hot and Cold is brought to you by American Solar Technics, manufacturers of components for wood burning and solar heating systems.